Most men think that their biggest growth constraint is cash, leads, or a better system. But for high-level entrepreneurs like you, the real bottleneck is the man staring back in the mirror. I remember going to work for one of my clients back in 2013, and when we initially engaged, his goal was to allow his wife to be able to stay at home with their firstborn child, not to have to go back to work again, meaning he had to hit a specific level of income, which at that time was $10,000 a month. And what's been interesting is watching him from 2013 to just recently, that business continued to grow and scale. We hit that number actually in the first 4 months of working together. We more than doubled his monthly recurring revenue and income, but he would continue to grow, continue to scale, but he just wanted more and bigger and better and more employees and more revenue. And he had the $1 million number, then he had the $2 million number. And the reality of the matter was every time that he hit a new financial milestone, he would find himself chained even tighter to the business. Success exposed the fact that internally he had nothing under control. It was completely out of control, though externally the systems and processes that were put into place were allowing him to get to the revenue number that he desired. In this video specifically, I want to be able to unpack why your entrepreneurial empire feels so fragile, why your hustle is hiding the real problems, and what to do when the biggest limit is you. Men of greatness, rise and stand tall. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Greatness, where I am trying to equip Christian entrepreneurs to achieve the success they so deeply desire, that they work hard to achieve, all the while doing everything they can to ensure that their faith, that their family, that the other things that they value and love so deeply do not crumble or fall out from under them. So why does this topic matter so much to me? Well, definitely because I can resonate. Also because I can relate based upon a lot of the clients that I work with. And through that, I understand that as an elite entrepreneur, as a man that desires success, that is a high performer, maybe you were a top tier athlete in high school, in college, you've brought that into business, you obsess over scale, you obsess over more freedom, more staff, better automations, smarter deals. And all of those things as an entrepreneur are wise. They are smart. If you want to build a better business, you're going to have all those things in place. If you're going to create more income for yourself, for your family, you're going to have all those things in place. But as you may understand already, if you are along in the journey farther than just getting started, you will probably notice that you have become the center of all things, that that everything lives, moves, and has being in the business because of you. Revenue is dependent on you. The success of your client implementations is very much based on you, and that is a fragile system. Further, when you become the center of all things, your identity starts to become anchored to that business. And I want to tell you right now that no amount of scale, as I demonstrated with my then client, which is now a friend, also I can share with you story after story in my own business, no amount of scale will set you free. As an elite man of greatness, as an elite entrepreneur, as a high performer, you want more profit. I get it. That's good. You want more time off to enjoy those things. I get it. That's good. But as you keep building those things, you are also building more burden for yourself. And what I've found from the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, and man, this I think particularly hits home in a place like Orange County, California, which is where I'm from, where scale is everything. We're trying to show off the very best of ourselves. There is a lot of advice out there as to how to fix this problem. And most of it ain't very good. Now, there's wisdom in a lot of this advice, but it doesn't eventually solve the problem. One of the things that I see a lot of entrepreneurs do is that they attempt to put better standard operating procedures into place. They try to more effectively systematize and drive their business with process, which I do. I help entrepreneurs all day do that. And that is wisdom. But that's not going to necessarily get you out of your own way if you're too deeply tied to the business. Another thing that people try to do, and a lot of very wise, successful leaders in this space, like Dan Martell, talk about this all the time when he talks about scaling your time. He talks about, or buying back your time, Dan talks about, and man, he's wise. It's so smart. You have to buy back your time. One of the ways you can buy back your time is by hiring the right people, by bringing individuals into the organization to contribute specifically to areas that you're not good at, that you don't desire to do, that could be more effectively or efficiently and more cost effectively done by somebody other than yourself. That's extremely important. But does that truly get you what you want? Or does that just free you up to do more of other things? Why don't those things ultimately solve the problem? Why does systematization not solve my problem as an entrepreneur if I'm the one in the way? Why is it if somebody like Dan Martell, who's so smart, so successful, says to buy back my time by hiring on or outsourcing some of the work, why doesn't that solve the problem? Well, I think more often than not, it's because that's not the root problem. That's not the root cause. If you can't let go when your business is small, you will not be able to let go when your business grows. If you are addicted to control, those standard operating procedures that you put into place, that playbook that I have helped you build, breaks. If your self-worth, if how you see yourself, look at yourself, and pride yourself is based upon what you have achieved, you will sabotage all of those things becoming effective tools for you. And ultimately, you will sabotage your own ability to rest because you are just going to continue to want more and more and more. Again, you're going to get out of the way, the things holding you back, to just go do more things. So what's the real problem then? And we're going to get to a better way to solve this, but what is the root cause of the issue then? Well, I think that the choke point, the ultimate bottleneck, is that we create a hollow identity for ourselves when we have long been successful, when we have long been the builder, when we are the face of the business, when all things run and flow through us, especially as an entrepreneur getting started and we're on our own. You know, for the longest time growing up, I was told that I was a leader, that I was a captain, that I was one to be followed, that I had a lot of influence. And that was great to lean into my strengths, but it also created a significant weakness because that then was who I became. Everything relied on me. And as I started to feel overwhelmed, my identity disallowed me from going to anybody else for help or even admitting that I needed help in the first place. Your business is ultimately going to reflect the man who runs it. If the man is fragile, the business stays fragile. And I know you're an elite guy. You're a high performer. That doesn't mean that you don't have chinks in the armor. We all have areas of weakness that we need to admit to, that we need to develop and grow from if we're ultimately going to scale business and life and achieve the things that we desire more than anything. This so deeply hits our kingdom foundation, the first of our 5 pillars of greatness. Because without a foundation based on the fact that Jesus Christ has died for us, taken our place for us, and ultimately given us a life of abundance, and recognizing that my identity is rooted in that, I will continue to just be a fragile human being. Every effort I make, every chance I take will be rooted in whether or not I can make it happen. And that is crushing and life-sucking. Without a kingdom foundation, every tactic, every strategy, everything you try is like you are just building a foundation on grains of sand. I mean, you can spend all kinds of money to hire a personal coach, to join a mastermind, to go on retreats. But if you don't anchor your worth beyond the P&L of the business, you will chase every single tactic and strategy to continue to grow, and you will never be free. You will never truly reap the reward of all your hard work, because when are you able to rest and reward yourself and enjoy the fruits of your labor if you're constantly grinding for more and more and more? I mean, it's a fair question. You've got to be able to ask yourself that question. The question is, have you? And most guys haven't. Most guys just haven't gotten that far because they're too busy chasing more. And again, you can chase more. You just have to chase more with the right foundation, with the right lens. So what's the better way? I promised you that I was going to give you some practical tactics. And so here is one for you. I'm going to walk through a better way, and then I'm going to give you an action item at the end of this. So hopefully you can take some real steps. So you hear me often talk about closing the gap, grounded in faith, authentic in action, purposeful in pursuit. A better way to ultimately achieve that next level of success is to focus on closing the gap between who you are now and who God has ultimately called you to be. You do that by anchoring your identity in something that is truly unshakable. And you and I both know, if you've been in business for any period of time as an entrepreneur, this business is damn shakeable. I am damn shakeable. But what is not is God himself. We have to root our identity in him, in who he has created us to be, and who he tells us he is. And that actually will empower and fuel me to go out and do bigger and better things. Because God calls me to greatness, and I think he's calling you to that too. The second component to closing the gap is being authentic in action. And as it relates to this specific topic about you being this choke point, you being the bottleneck, is you need to get honest about where you're self-sabotaging. This is what it means to be authentic in action. Be honest about where you are holding yourself back. It's okay. We all do it. And finally, the last component here is to be purposeful in pursuit. That's the P. Build systems that align with the man you want to be, not just the business you want to build, not just the profit you want to make. It can be to those two latter things, but it must be rooted in the former first, aligning to the man that God calls you to be, and then ultimately leads you to build the business he's calling you to. Because the business with no man is empty. The man fueling the business is substantial and incredibly powerful. When you fix the foundation, you remove yourself as the choke point. You remove yourself as the bottleneck. Systems work because you trust them. Teams thrive because you lead from overflow, not fear. Everybody starts moving down the tracks at the same pace and in the same direction, and you start to see scale like you've never seen before. This has worked incredibly incredibly for me as I have started to understand my weaknesses and been open to those things, started to bring other people in to support me. But none of that happened early in my career, because when I led sales teams early in my career, it was all about how good I was and why they should listen to me, how much I learned and how they should listen to my opinion on that learning. And little by little, as I started to break or be broken and recognize that I didn't have it all together, that there was wisdom outside of me that needed to be incorporated into my leadership and then ultimately into my teams and now my business, I started to see how much more success and scale I could have. I started outsourcing. Then I brought on an employee. Now I have an employee and we still continue to outsource. I've invested into masterminds that I allow people to pour into me and be truly transparent and honest and take their feedback for what it is, which is objective truth. Yes, sometimes opinion, but objective truth. And as I've imparted the same wisdom onto men I coach, I've started to see significant growth in them as individuals and them as business owners. And their businesses are growing at rates they never have before. But it all goes back to being rooted in who God has called you to be. So I want to land this by helping you with a simple action item, which I think will be incredibly helpful for you as you try to figure out, first of all, you've got to ask this question, am I the bottleneck? And I think that if you're a high-performing individual building a business that's on a growth trajectory, you likely are, at least in part. And so ask yourself this question. This will be a good determining factor to start. If you stepped away from your business for 30 days, what breaks? Now, for me, that's a crazy, scary question to ask because I deliver our coaching and consulting. And so a lot could break. And so I need to think about that. But if I step away and I plan that out, do I have the people in place to continue to support my clients as needed during the time I'm away? And you got to ask yourself that question. And after you have asked yourself that question, if I step away for 30 days, what breaks? Then ask yourself this: what does this reveal about my identity, my need to trust, and my need to be in control? Do you have what it takes to truly scale your business at the rate that you desire? Take 10 minutes alone, no noise, to get grounded in this. Ask of the Lord what he desires of you, where he is calling you, ultimately how he can help you to grow through these things. Ask God to show you exactly where this choke point is. We've all got one. Some of us have multiples, but that's okay, because once we can admit them, we can start to work on them and we can grow from and through them. If this hits home for you, don't stop here. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube, that you are following the podcast, that you're following me on Instagram and X. Those are the two places that I contribute a lot of content around these ideas. If you are interested in being a part of the Men of Greatness community, the brotherhood that we have, hit me up. We're forming a brand new community. We've been working through how we're going to do this, and we've been talking about and have finally landed on forming a new community. This community is going to be where real men like you and I that desire success can understand what it is that's challenging us from ultimately achieving that we want to achieve. So DM me, reach out to me, be more than happy to help you out. And just so you know, as we continue on moving through next week, I want to pull the curtain back on the cost of freedom, because there is a hidden cost of freedom. So I want to challenge you to take action on what we've talked about today, to subscribe so you can be in the know when it happens next week, and then just get out there and become the man that God has called you to be, because ultimately that is a man of greatness.